Daily Tech News Show is made possible by you listening right there, right now. Thanks to all of you, including Matt Zaglin, Kelly Cook, Jeff Wilkes, and brand new patrons Darwin and Sam.
Yay! Welcome.
On this episode of DTNS, the China trade war heats up, a head tattoo for EEGs, and The Verge goes paid subscription. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
You know, I just thought of this because I was reading the date. There was all this buzz in certain corners of social media that on December 2nd, all the airfares are going to be cheap. You're going to want to buy your ticket on December 2nd. I do a tracking of particular flights. Yesterday, all my tracking said the price of this flight has gone way up. And then today it went back down. Like, I don't know. It was a conspiracy.
What is the significance of December 2nd?
I don't know. I don't know what
just,
this. Yeah.
Just, you know,
it's just what everybody agreed was the special day. Yeah.
That's why Santa Claus makes his return trip.
Perhaps.
Oh, maybe.
All right.
Shout out to Santa.
Let's get into actual news with the quick hits.
The U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau proposed a rule that would limit the ability of data brokers to sell information about consumers. Data brokers that sell information about credit and debit would be considered consumer reporting agencies and, therefore, have to comply with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, like credit bureaus and background checking agencies also do. This would also prohibit them from selling certain information, such as a social security number. The Bureau also proposes requiring data brokers to get explicit permission from consumers before selling sensitive personal or financial information. The Bureau will accept comments on the proposed rule until March 3rd of 2025.
There is a privacy-focused photo sharing service out there called Ente, E-N-T-E, and it launched a webpage called theyseeyourphotos.com.
Ooh.
When you upload any photo to the page sends it to Google's computer vision algorithm and prompts it to document small details in the image. The algorithm then returns a detailed 3-paragraph description of the image. The idea is to expose how much Google can tell about you if you store your photos with Google. Google's support page notes that Google Photos only uses images to train models to help people manage their own libraries, and that it does not sell content from Google Photos to third parties or use it for first-party advertising purposes.
Threads is updating its search functionality to let users filter searches by date range or restrict them to a particular user profile. You can access the new filters from a settings icon that will show up in the search bar. Of note, Thread search is still more limited than similar functions on X and Blue Sky.
Reuters says Intel's board has approached former board member Lip-Bu Tan about the CEO role. Tan was considered for the CEO role previously and has served as a board member from September 2022 until this past August, when he resigned in opposition to Gelsinger's turnaround plans. Well, Gelsinger himself was opposed to potential deals that would split the company up or sell off parts of it like Mobileye, Altera, or even the foundry business. And now that Gelsinger is out as CEO, Bloomberg reports the board may take up discussion of such deals again.
Intel announced 2 budget desktop graphics cards on Tuesday. The $249 Arc B580 ships on December 13th, and the $219 Arc B570 ships on January 16th. They both use the Z2 Battle Mage found in Lunar Lake laptop chips, but with double the graphics cores, up to 12 gigabytes of dedicated memory, and up to 190 watts of power. The B580 compares to, and Intel says, is outperforming NVIDIA's $299 RTX 4060 and AMD's $269 RX 7600. This may be the last round of Intel GPUs, as CEO Pat Gelsinger indicated they might not continue developing the line before he was discontinued as CEO himself.
Aww. Tuesday, China's Ministry of Commerce announced restrictions on the export of dual-use items related to gallium, germanium, antimony, and superhard materials to the U.S. That's a quote from the ministry announcement in translation. Those minerals are used in the manufacturing of most electronics, and gallium and germanium are the ones used most often. If you're wondering what dual use means, dual use is a term also used by the United States and other countries to apply to products or materials that can be used for both civil and or peaceful means, or military and or not so peaceful purposes. The ministry also said it will require a, quote, stricter review of end usage for graphite dual-use items. Graphite's a common coating material used in many things from power cables to power plants. And it's used in so many things, it may be why they said it's a stricter review rather than banning it outright like they did gallium. In addition, 4 Chinese industry associations put out statements warning other companies in China that purchasing U.S. chips is, quote, no longer safe. This is the big card, Sarah. Everyone said, when China gets serious, they're going to try to stop shipping these rare earth minerals to the U.S., and now they've done that.
So here's my question. My question is the fact that gallium and germanium specifically are able to be mined in China. Is there no other place, or is there no other way to kind of rock the system anywhere else? It's sort of in the way that you now have diamonds that are either you can mine the diamonds, or you can actually cook the diamond in a lab.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. First of all, germanium and gallium are not mined. They are byproducts of refineries. So usually it's zinc or aluminum. When you're processing zinc or aluminum, which are very mainstream minerals, you get the byproduct of gallium and germanium. And then you're able to collect the gallium and germanium and sell those off. China delivers 94% of the world's gallium and 83% of its germanium. So yes, to your main question, there are other places to get germanium and gallium, and I can kind of run through some of those.
But but
it's going to take some time to ramp that up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like most of the gallium and germanium are coming from elsewhere. So some of these other sources really aren't producing it in great amounts. Also, one of the major supplies of gallium could come from aluminum production in Russia and Ukraine. But as you may know...
yes, I can only imagine that would be seamless.
Those two countries are at war with each other. So that sort of complicates things. South Korea and Japan can supply gallium from their zinc production. Germanium could be supplied from some producers in Canada, the U.S., and Belgium. And then actual mining operations of zinc and aluminum could start doing things to generate germanium and gallium. Democratic Republic of Congo has a lot of the kinds of mines that would be good for this. The U.S. Has some mines that would be good for this as well. And then the last one would be recycling. A lot of recycling already happens for these minerals, but that could be increased. The efficiency could be improved, et cetera, et cetera. So there's your alternatives. There are alternatives, but it's not something you can just like, oh, China has 50% and these other countries have 20%. We'll just order more from them. China is so dominant in this space that the infrastructure for creating it would take some time to ramp up to meet the needs.
Well, and I think that this is one of these, we talk a lot about like the global economy. It's like, this is a great example of this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like, I don't know. I didn't buy anything from China today. It's like, no.
You did.
So many things that you bought were actually, created in China and with, rare earth materials like this.
At least part of it, right? Almost nothing is created in one place. That complicates things because you have the minerals and then you have the parts and then you have the packaging and then, it's a very complex world that we live in to make these very complex machines. And you can't just simplify it like that. China has been in the pole position. On the other hand, this was their trump card. This was the one thing they could play, and they played it now. So a lot of people look at this and say they knew the incoming administration was going to play even more hardball than the current administration has been playing, which it just put in the 4th round of restrictions against China. So it's not like the current administration wasn't playing hardball, and China just wants to lay it out right up front. Like, fine, we're going to cut you off from essential minerals. Now, a lot of these minerals have been stockpiled by companies because they knew this was starting to become a possibility. So I wouldn't expect there to be an impact right away. But the longer this ban persists, the more it's going to cause prices on electronics to go up worldwide.
I also wonder just how many of these rare earth materials, or sort of by the wayside materials that come from some of these manufacturing plants, like how long until we just do this all in a lab?
Well, there are some alternative materials that could be used instead of these, but they are more costly, and so far you could take a hit on performance. So, yeah. It's a matter of when, not if, but we don't know when.
It reminds me of like solar panels on houses.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, it was like, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe, and you're really going to have to, just kind of see how it goes. And now it's like, no, it actually works.
Yeah,
and
the
you're going to
prices
get your
have
money
come
back.
down.
Yeah.
The prices were coming down, although gallium and germanium are both used in solar panels. They may not stay down. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some better news. EEGs are used to measure brain waves. They are used for a lot of diagnostics on brain activity and brain health. Normally, to do it, you have to place wires and electrodes and gel on a person's head. It's a tricky process. Technicians have to measure not only the size, but the shape of your scalp and like map out how the electrodes are going to get placed. And then the gel, which is used to improve the reception of your brain waves, can dry out, and then it doesn't work as well, and you got to replace the gel. All those electrodes and wires are uncomfortable for the patient. So Nanshu Liu led a team at the University of Texas at Austin to create ink for a temporary tattoo that could be printed on your skin, so that you could have an easier time reading your brainwaves. The ink is made of 2 polymers. One is PDOT, the other is PSS. Our show notes will have their full names if you want to find those out. They are conductive, but they don't irritate the skin. The design of the tattoo is created by a program that does a 3D scan of the scalp and then figures out where the printing needs to happen, and then a robotic arm controlled by the printer can apply the ink. Physical wires are only used on the back of the neck to connect with the tattoo and send the signal to a small device to record the data. So it's much more comfortable than having the wires all over your head. Now, so far, it's only been used on people with bald heads or buzz cuts. The video they have on their website shows somebody with kind of, a short hair buzz cut. But the team actually thinks that a modified nozzle design incorporating robotic fingers for hair parting could make it work on longer hair. So you wouldn't have to shave someone's head to do the EEG. And there's the possibility that they could embed wireless transmitters in the tattoo, so you don't even have to have the wire coming out of the back.
Okay, so as somebody who has had an EEG before, and nobody had to shave my head in order to do so.
They just
that was
stuck
my
the
first
electrodes in. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was goopy and horrible, and they were like, "Okay, go to sleep," and I'm like, "How can
Like
I
this?
possibly do that?" Yeah, but no, nobody, there was no shaving of hair or anything like that. So my first question was like, well, where does the tattoo go?
It goes on your skin. It just goes right on your skin. If you have the buzz cut,
under
it's in
your hair.
Yeah. Well,
What if you have long hair?
If you have a buzz cut, it's just going to go, your hair's going to be in between, but there's enough connection that it's conductive. If they do the robotic fingers, I guess what they're thinking is the nozzle can put it on your scalp in between your hair follicles. It's just kind of like a comb.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
It really is. I love brain stuff. just because, we all have brains.
We all have one.
We want them to work.
Despite what you may think, we all
want them to work as advertised. And yeah, I mean, the for anybody who's sort of like, EEG and whatever, it's quite a process. It really is. It's messy. It's, like the electrodes and the gel. I mean, it sucks. It's not fun. Something like this, and for anyone's like, I don't want a tattoo on my head. Temporary.
It's temporary. Yeah.
Temporary.
You are going to have to walk around with it for a while before it washes off, but I don't know how long actually. So you could probably wash it off pretty fast. It's dissolvable.
Even if it was a month, it's like, it's temporary.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be that long. But even if it was,
you had to do this to make sure that you're as healthy as possible.
Yeah. And, maybe you could get if you have the long hair and they end up being able to do the nozzles, you won't even know it's there. But if you have the shorter hair and you can see it, maybe you can get them to, put some colors over it and some fun designs to decorate your head on top of the tattoo.
This is going to be a new thing. Mark my words. New thing. It's going to be like, oh, I got an EEG, but look at my hair.
Yeah.
And like hearts and...
It's like
maybe you spell out the name of like your favorite cousin or whatever.
It's like the high tech version of the Band-Aid with Pokemon characters on it. That it always starts with something very utilitarian, and eventually they make it fun for the kids, and then eventually they make it fun for everybody. So
Gremlin toilet paper.
You're still talking about Gremlin toilet paper.
I'm just saying, you brought it up.
I didn't bring up Gremlin toilet paper, but yes.
But it's a good example of like, where like a kid is like, no, I want that toilet paper.
Yeah.
That's fun. That is cool. EEGs becoming sort of like fun Instagram fodder. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
as long as everybody, takes care of their noggin.
I don't know if you're listening, Nanshu Lu or anyone else, hook 'em horns at the UT Austin team on this, but take it and run with it. Let us know if you can do some fun tattoos. What would you like to hear us talk about on the show? There are many ways to let us know. The least effective would be to just shout it into the void and hope that somehow the universe brings the idea to us. But one of them, see. It's not the best. It's not the best. It could work.
Doesn't really work that well.
But the more effective way to do it is to let us know on our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at reddit.com/r/Daily Tech News Show. Do it!
So The Verge has launched a new subscription service called Verge Plus, because everybody got to do the plus, priced at $7 per month or $50 per year, offering fewer ads, unlimited access to full text articles, and an ad-free experience on the site overall. Subscribers will also get access to a full text RSS feed, exclusive content also being part of this. The Verge says the goal is to provide a more seamless, personalized reading experience for people supporting The Verge's journalism. Now, I very much like The Verge's journalism, but it got me thinking. What do we pay for, and when do we do it?
First of all, I don't have a problem with this at all. I thought the way the article introducing it was written really laid out like, hey, here's why we're doing it. We get it. We know paywalls aren't great, but we're trying to make it as consumer friendly. However, calling it Verge Plus feels like giving up. I guarantee you there have been Verge articles making fun of other companies for calling everything plus.
Everything's plus.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, truly, it's like, what else, like, where's the other example of like a successful, entertainment brand that didn't just say like, CNN Plus.
Peacock Premium.
Okay.
Netflix Premium. That's all I could think of. Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu Plus.
But that is like
AMC
sort of like
Plus.
premium. Yeah, everything's plus.
Oh, Apple One for your bundle. But it is Apple TV Plus for streaming. Yeah.
I mean, so one of the things I thought was interesting about this, and it's because I really do like The Verge, and every single morning of my life, big part of how I
same. Yeah, when I see a Verge article, I know I'm going to get a good take on a story for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's essential news. At the same time, it's like, all right, well, there are going to be certain paywalled articles, and, at that point, what happens? And this is something that I think, if you're not news gathering probably as much as we are every single day, this may, your mileage may vary. But for me, it's like, all right, well, let me find the second article that said the same thing, that said that The Verge was the original source, So
right.
like, we're not doing anything nefarious here, but like that's the article that I could use, for the actual information, because I am now paywalled behind it. There are workarounds. Many of you know what they are. If it's sort of like a VPN thing or a Chrome extension thing, there are many ways to do this. What I have noticed, and I'm sure that these companies are going to put a kibosh on it as soon as possible, is that if I Command A, like everything in that article has been copied, put it in ChatGPT, it's like, oh yeah, here's your article. Even if I can't access it.
Yeah, it'll be able to reconstruct it through search.
And it never says something like, well, wait a second, this is a paywalled item type thing. There are workarounds. That's my point. But I just sort of, I wonder how everybody out there is consuming news, because we can't all just subscribe to all of these news organizations, every month. I mean, there's Apple News that I've kind of tried here and there, but I feel like it's too much money for what I get out of it. And I'm more of a hunter and gatherer online.
I think $50 per year is a decent price. It's not burdensome. I'm curious how the paywall is going to work in practice. One thing that they made clear in the post was that you're not going to run in the paywall at all on certain articles. So news stuff, not going to run into the paywall. That is different than Bloomberg. That is different than Reuters, where they put everything behind the paywall after a certain number of articles.
Yeah.
The Verge is keeping all their news free, ad supported, of course, but free. It is reviews, in original reporting. So like they're in-depth articles, and what is it? Reviews, in-depth, and one other that you will be metered on. So again, it doesn't automatically go behind the paywall. It just shows up. Original reporting, reviews, and features. You will get a certain number, and then you will be asked to pay. I'm curious how that's going to work in practice. Like you and I both tend to read enough of these that we hit the Bloomberg, Wired, Reuters, Wall Street Journal paywalls like that, right?
5 days into the month. Yeah.
If it takes five. Now I pay for Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg because I feel like they're worth it because I use them enough. I will see if I need to pay for The Verge. The Verge is saying they've been asked by enough of their loyal readers for a way to directly support them, that they are doing this as a way to answer that, and they don't want to make it burdensome for the people who aren't. So I'm curious if they really will be able to strike that balance. But like you said, there are ways around it. With Reuters and Bloomberg, quite often you can copy the headline, put it in a search engine, and then find it on Yahoo Finance or the India Times because they're syndicated. And The Verge is syndicated to MSN. So potentially you might be able to find that article that's behind the paywall on The Verge for free somewhere else.
One of the things that bothers me the most about this, the fact that journalists should get paid for their work.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And that is, we are not discussing that. And I
don't begrudge them making money. Ads,
of course not.
subscriptions, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
One of the things that just gets my goat is, let's say I go onto X or Threads or Blue Sky or Mastodon, and, somebody who works for one of these publications is like, here's my latest article. Like, I did like such a, really, really good job, and, interviewed so many people, very, very, you have to read it. And so I'm like, all right, let's do that. And then it's like, oh, TechCrunch Plus.
That's a good point. TechCrunch, I almost never run into their paywall. And they've had it for a while with TechCrunch Plus. So maybe it'll be same. Maybe it'll be the same with The Verge.
Yeah.
I feel like they're very similar, but also if you pay for The Verge, you still get ads. I thought it was interesting how they described that. You will only get high quality ads from The Verge themselves. There will be no third party ads that will be trafficked around.
It was sort of like when Hulu first was like, well, free, but also with ads.
Yeah, it's not, but not even that. They're like, these ads will be higher quality, and they won't be as it won't be as possible for them to share the data about your surfing because they're first party ads. I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to go for that, but it's an interesting way to differentiate that. All right, let's check out the mailbag.
Craig writes in, as the family admin that transitioned to 1Password from LastPass a few years ago, I decided to test the Apple passwords before migrating the rest of the family. Here are my thoughts, says Craig. Number 1, as a basic password manager, it's on par with others I tried. I actually find it takes fewer steps to log into sites. Granted, I'm fully on an Apple ecosystem. Number 2, Apple Passwords is missing some features that I hope will come, such as storing credit card numbers, passport information, secure notes, emergency access, the main ones I miss. Number 3, not sure if this is a setting on my phone, but Apple Password will not open with just the phone's passcode. It requires Face ID to launch. On the Mac, you have to authenticate from a trusted device. Number 4, says Craig, passkeys, amazingly simple to use in Apple Passwords. The experience is seamless. Even with Google, it was extremely easy to set up and use. Craig says, I'm still not ready to migrate the rest of my family, but I think in the next year, if they continue to add features, that will be the best option for users that are in the Apple ecosystem.
Interestingly, I am able to, if you cancel like failed Face ID several times, you will get prompted for the PIN on Password Manager. So if you go in, like I'm holding my phone straight up so it can't see my face, I hit unlock, Face ID fails. I say try Face ID again, it fails again, then I get enter passcode. So I'm curious if Craig has tried it that way or not, but it does fail back to the password on mine. Maybe it is a setting. That said, it seems like a pretty positive review for Apple Passwords and pretty consistent with what Allison was saying yesterday.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, folks, we still have a sale going on at the Daily Tech News Show store if you hurry. If you're looking for that perfect stocking stuffer, we got mugs, we got greeting cards, we got Good Day Internet mouse pads. We have a special soda can style glass with art from Scott Johnson exclusively made for us on that soda can style glass. Use the code RAM and you can get 25% off any of that stuff over there. So go check it out at dailytechnewsshow.com/store, or you can use the link in our show notes. It'll take you right to the 25% off. Stick around for the extended show, Good Day Internet, stick around for the extended show, Daily Tech News Show Plus. The end of year music reviews are out in the music apps, YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music even has one this year. We're going to share some of our own music trends from the past year and why Roger doesn't have one.
Oh, you can catch the live show Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC, and you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Good to have you all. We'll be back tomorrow with Scott Johnson joining us. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.